Okay, so do a quick run through. So, give you a good idea how this thing will work. First and foremost, we need to get everything uploaded as far as company documents are concerned so we can get them revised and uploaded into the system currently known as Globiflow that will do all the automation and one click contract creation and every other little automated feature your little hearts can desire. So, in order to do that, it's pretty quick, pretty simple. Come down here, employee network files. Um, we don't really want to switch the view, but we want to add a new one. So I know Billy tried to email me some stuff last week. For whatever reason, it never came through. So if you got them on your desktop, Dropbox, Google Drive, wherever, you can just grab them here. And then, didn't think. We'll just say the Chadwell file. This is my little capstone roof. We got one damaged shingle, so I'm going to get a $40,000 roof. Not real estate investing related, but an example of how to upload something into here. So, Billy, this was really specifically for you because I know you've got access to everything we're going to need. More specifically, that offer sheet or the data points that we need to get collected from the bird dogs so you guys can analyze and see if it's a good deal or not. So that is found under the employee network right here. And we can add other apps and whatnot in here, but to be honest with you, I don't use it a whole lot except for collecting files that everybody has so we can gather them all and get them in play. Give you the general outline of how things will flow. We've got an incoming calls app. So when I was with Clint, I would have a designated phone number for every campaign or mailer that we had sent out. The purpose of that obviously was to track which ones were working, which ones were not, and adjust our budgets accordingly. So when we do get a call, the service that I use is CallRail. So what happens is we get the call, it will ring to any number that we designate or a series of numbers in a round robin fashion for 15 to 20 seconds. If it goes unanswered, that will then get tagged as a missed call and emailed directly into Podio, into this incoming calls app. Now, this is one I had made earlier, so this is what it looks like when it comes in. Missed call from, and I'll have the name, have the phone number, some other data. If I did leave a voicemail, there would also be a link to the voicemail right here. Now, as long as this is the first time a person has called and is coming off of an outbound or an inbound lead, and not a cash buyer or investor, it will identify it as a first-time caller and move it directly into the Leads app. And then it'll parse all that information out of there, so you'll see the phone number shows up there, my name shows up there. That's really all the information you're going to gather out of the phone call prior to talking to them. And then as you do speak with them, an important piece of information to grab obviously is the email address. So one thing to note here is once we update this, so Clint, you're going to see so now you've just been added to our MailChimp drip campaign. So you should get a report, how to sell your home quickly in 7 days for cash. It'll be a downloadable link in the email. On top of that, it'll begin to speak to a little bit about what we do as a company, obviously how we can help, and in the process just trying to educate the seller on their options. Being one of the few people that do that, people will tend to come back to us simply because they trust us. Now, on top of that report, those sellers will get a series of 12 emails over 30 days just to kind of continually touch base. If after 30 days they still haven't made a commitment, either a yay or a nay, they will go into a long-term follow-up campaign which is a combination of what are called voice blasts, which are just pre-recorded voicemails that are dropped directly into a lead's voicemail. We've got a text campaign where every 60 days a quick little follow-up text will be sent to the mobile number in the file. Hey, just checking in to see if you sold 123 Main Street. Give me a call at 918-606-8622. On top of that, they will be added to a monthly newsletter that will be created, obviously, on a monthly basis. Anything we can do to keep in front of the people during their, we'll just say, decision-making process, and even afterwards, if they haven't sold the house to us, we try to keep them on the mailing list as long as possible, because obviously referrals is a big part of this business. So now, in order to, well, let me just show you something pretty awesome here. We'll take my old property address up in Tulsa. So I think it was 4172 South Rockford. So now all I'm going to do here is type in the address. So it pops up. There's a map. There's an aerial view. There's a street view. There's our link to Zillow. So we'll have everything that we need from there. And also you'll notice that square footage, lot size, year built, bathrooms, well, school district and neighborhood don't auto-populate. They will. There's just something wrong with the API that I need to figure out. But soon enough, those will auto-populate. The Zestimate auto-populates property, or this property type, the last sold date, last sold price, if it's on file, will show up as well. And depending on whether or not you have spoken to the lead, you will update this. It is defaults to hot lead not contacted when it initially gets emailed in from the incoming calls app. And then as you begin to reach out to them, you'll say hot lead, call them, you left them a voicemail. So once you do that and you click on this button, that seller just got a text message saying, this is so-and-so from Epic Flips trying to give you a call about your property at so-and-so. Please give me a call back, so they know that we left them a message and tried to reach out. Once we are able to get in touch with them, speak to them about the property, and if it makes sense to go ahead and make that appointment to go out and see the house, we go ahead and update the status to appointment scheduled. At this point, a confirmation email gets sent out to the homeowner, introducing whoever it is that will be out on the buy call, be it Clint, Billy, myself, whoever else becomes in the mix down the road. And then basically you've got your results here. Either you're going to make an offer, you're going to lose contact, or in some cases, I had this kind of after the fact, if you don't buy their house, say it's an investor trying to sell their house, but you don't buy it, you can go ahead and click on this, and that will actually push them over into our buyers list. So down the road, if we've got a property that fits their profile, we'll have all their info. Now, if you want to make an offer, you just click right there, and we'll follow that over in a minute. But lead date, that'll populate in. Inspection date, that's something that you're going to have to obviously put in there once it is set up. Now, one thing we didn't cover right up here, there is a link that says Zillow comps. This will be a list of 10 comparable properties closest to the subject. A lot of times I'm finding they're not as, say, similar or as close in architecture as we would like, but it's a good baseline. I think we all know this estimate is less than worthless, considering you can pull comps from a mile away, and let's just say, for example, a mile away from Brookside. If you go to the west, that's probably not a very good comp. So this will actually give you the addresses, and so you can zero in on where those sales actually are. Obviously nothing is as reliable as a CMA, but it'll give us a baseline right off of the bat. If you do want to get a CMA, basically, you just got to pick 3 of your realtor partners who you routinely ask for CMAs from, and then rather than having to call them and talk about the property and spend 35 minutes on the phone like I used to have to when all you really want is an email from them, you can just click either, say that's Steve Counts or Holly Brumble or Michael Ferrer, whoever it is. Once you click that, it'll set up to request that CMA on that property from that email or from that realtor. Then you've got your asking price. This is just whatever the seller is asking. Mortgage balance. Obviously, if you don't know what a mortgage balance is, probably in the wrong business. Estimated repairs. Now this auto-populates once you put the property address in there. Once the property address is in there, the square footage gets auto-populated. So in this case, it's 1223. And for quick estimating purposes, I have used a number of $15 a square foot to estimate repairs. Obviously, sometimes it's going to be higher, sometimes it's going to be lower. But that'll give us a quick view anyways, and that will calculate our max allowable offer at 65% of ARV minus repairs. So right now we know, without even looking and making, a handful of assumptions, to say the least, we can offer 85,000. Seller is asking 125,000. Now let's say, for example, the seller was asking 70,000. I am working on setting up basically an if-then scenario where if the seller asking price is less than our MAO, that's going to flag this file and get it to you guys immediately via a text message and an email, because it's something that could work. It's obviously a motivated seller given this price point. So those are the ones you don't want to have sit around, because they'll call the next yellow letter that comes in the mail 3 hours later. And then offer price, this is actually the price that you end up offering for it. So they want 70, we'll give them 67.9 because we don't ever give them exactly what they want. Now initiate follow-up SMS. So if you lose contact, let's get somebody, say cold lead, no contact, 2 weeks. That's going to go ahead and trigger the follow-up email campaign. Now you'll see we wanted to, actually I'll have to put this to today. So I want to start my campaign today, 2/21. So these are going to go out every 30 days. So on day 21 days from today, there will be a follow-up text message sent to this number, or whatever cell phone number I was on file. I have not written them yet. I figured I would wait for you guys to do that. But then after that is first one sends off, it automatically sends another one every 60 days, 6 times. So that's 1 year of follow-up text messages. Email subscription. This gets auto-updated once we enter an email address in up here. And what that allows us to do is actually sync up to MailChimp, which is the basically the email marketing program. So you'll see right here, it doesn't say subscribe or unsubscribe. So we'll just paste another email address in there, and you'll see this updates to subscribed. So now it's added again. Well, it's not going to add it again because he's already in there, but you get the point. Campaign tracking number. This actually pulls over from the incoming calls app. So this is the number that they called off of the marketing piece. So we'll have a database within our direct mail file, which you'll find over here. We'll go through that in a bit. That'll have all the numbers associated with campaigns. So you'll know what deals came from what campaigns. All of our KPIs, our key performance indicators, basically, in my experience, have been, your response rate off your mailer, how many appointments you get off the mailer, how many contracts, and how many closings. I've had people promise me 15% response rates, and I told them he was full of shit. Lo and behold, he delivered 21% response rates. Problem was, I learned very quickly I don't give a shit about 22 21% response rates when the calls are garbage. I didn't close a single deal off that campaign. So that's the kind of stuff that you want to know. If you're just looking at response rates, you probably just keep sending that mailer. But if you didn't track it all the way through and realize you didn't close anything off it, you'd be pissing your money away for quite a while. So anyways, we pushed this over to offers earlier, I believe. So in our where do we go? Related items. Oh, so that just goes back to incoming calls. Oh, and this is our recording link. So if there is a voicemail, that's what I was looking for. It'll be right there, and then you can go ahead and pop it up. There's our Zillow link. So now, as far as offers are concerned, we clicked on create offer earlier, so we'll go ahead and move on over to offers. And you can see I've done this a handful of times, but everything will transfer over for us. No double entry of anything. You are going to have some new information. Earnest money deposit, I like to keep it at 200. Somebody calls bullshit, I just say it's a typo. It's supposed to say 2000. Period closing date, number of days for inspection, 15. On the contract it says 30 if left blank. Inspection deadline, just count out 15 days, whatever it is. Legal description, usually you're just going to have your subdivision, and then lot 5, block 4. That's all it needs to say. Title company, I don't know who you guys are using these days. I just tend to follow Tina Teague because she pretty much takes care of everything for me. I know she's no longer at Main Street, but she's at Allegiance. So we go ahead and put all their information in there. Title contact would be Tina Teague. Special instructions, so if we had any, property must be vacant prior to closing. So, need any kind of additional clauses that you're going to want, just throw them in there. So then obviously this has a relationship field back to the lead, so if you ever need to reference any of the property info, square footage, this, that, or the other thing, you can just click right on there, and it'll take you back to this file. And similarly, it's a tough one to say, you got offers, so we'll take us right back to where we were. Now, we've got all our information for the offer. Now, rather than copying and pasting everything, we'll go ahead and click this button. And what we're going to find is a cash offer. I have a couple other templates that I've set up in the past for option contracts that will show up. So you got to create an offer, so then you can email it to the seller. At the same time, we can mail a hard copy to the seller. So, all you got to do is click on a handful of buttons. You can create the offer, you can email the offer, and then you can send them a hard copy of the contract. Then obviously one of 3 things is going to happen. They're going to accept it, they're going to reject it, or they're going to counteroffer. So once they accept it, go ahead and go down here. So we'll go ahead and over to offers, and now we've got a listing. And here's our listing. So now we would go ahead and, well, it looks like this may have been right about where I stopped working on it, but all of this information obviously is going to pull from that initial leads page. It's also going to have some notes on our buyers, and then all of our buyers are going to be uploaded. We'll get in there in a second. So you got the listings, then you got closings. I didn't have any in here, but this will just basically be a workflow, and then MailChimp. So these are any MailChimp campaigns that we have. So for example, I can do one from my phone right now, and it will show up right here. So let's sell my computer. So bam, sell the computer. All right, we're gonna take that. We'll use a logo, and we'll say buy me. Don't worry, I'm still here. Okay, there we go. So now within here I can just select my epic flips list. We're going to send to the entire list. Clint, you actually might get this, so don't be confused when you do. Bam, sent it. So in a couple of seconds, or probably if I just reload the page here, well, maybe I have to give it a minute. We'll come back. Anywho, so those are the sellers. Now, moving into the buyers. Now, this is something I can bring to the table for you guys that I'm pretty sure nobody else can. And that is a list of 386 buyers in Tulsa. So basically within each one of these, we'll have to redo the formatting here. Yeah, we're going to have to do that all together. But you've got their name, we'll have their phone numbers, you'll have their addresses, you've got the areas of town that they buy in. So when we do have a property for sale, you can actually just reference the property zip code, and then that will actually pull up all the people that we have in our database that want to buy in that zip code. So I'm sure. So here we go. Those are just a couple of outliers there. So some of them have complete profiles, some of them don't. But that's kind of what it looks like. I'm sure you guys have your own buyers list as well that we can upload. And here are some campaigns that I've just done in the past. These are houses that I've sold, and these are the campaigns and the statistics for those campaigns. So it's a quick reference for anything that you guys want to do on an email marketing or email campaign. Direct mail. This one's going to be pretty simple. I said I would take care of this for you as well. So all this really is giving me your pertinent info. So we'll just say add a mailing. So you want to send it to absentee owners. And we'll just say Tulsa, okay, and DFW, because I want some leads too. Start off with a postcard so we can thin out our mailing list, get all our non-deliverables back before we spend the big money on the yellow letters. So so we don't send them to bunk email or bunk addresses. Quantity, I'd say 2,000 a month. It's usually what I used to send. Now, as long as you get on a consistent schedule, the shipping method isn't going to matter. If you do standard and you just do it every 30 days, every 15 days, it's going to save you money in postage. Your delivery date, however, is not guaranteed. First class, obviously more expensive, but it will show up within 2 to 3 days. Total prices will ultimately, excuse me, populate there based on the mailer, the quantity, and the mail type. Now batching, if you wanted to send those 2,000 mailers, and for mailings of 500 over 60 days. Anything you can come up with. The phone number on the mailer, probably the most important piece of the puzzle, because it's how you're going to track it. I use a service called CallRail. It's $20 a month. You can have up to 10 dedicated tracking numbers, including 800 numbers. You record all the phone calls. They've got an app with a pretty easy interface to figure out and really to use. So you can record incoming calls, you can record outbound calls, you can send text messages. But it's important to have a different phone number for each campaign so you know which one's going to work. So once you do create a new tracking number, just plug that in here. Company name, if you decide to put it on there. A lot of my mailers I used to send non-branded. They would just be from, Ryan. Or actually, before I used CallRail, I would just change the names on the mailers. Usually they were Seahawk players, so people got letters from Russell Wilson and Marshawn Lynch. I had some fun. I had some fun with people in Denver. I never got a call back from them, but it was still comical on my end. The name on the mailer, experience has taught me to just use your own name, as long as you have a dedicated tracking number. I've only had one person call me shady for doing that, but she still sold me her house, so whatever. Website on the mailer, I honestly don't put one anymore. I just send everything to a tracking number, and then that tracking number has got an MP3 file uploaded that will play. Truly motivated people will listen to a good deal of it. The most motivated people will actually listen to it all and leave you a message. And the most bored people in the world will listen to it all and then leave you a message to fuck off. So those ones are actually fun to call back as well. Anyways, campaign start date, when you want that first mailer going out, how far into your campaign, how many times have you mailed this list. I made the mistake of mailing a list one time and then moving on to a new list. I can't tell you how many times, but the first time that I actually mailed the same list up to 7 times, I had better results than I would have ever imagined mailing 7 different lists once. So important to stay on top of that, and we'll be sure the data is updated every time somebody calls in, or you get the take me off your list guy, who, by the way, I rarely take off the list. Then you got a checklist as far as doing everything that you need to do before sending it off to the mail house. The mail house being me. And then I obviously just turn around and use a service that I've been using for years. So templates for the mailers, there are a ton of them. I'll have them all uploaded in here sooner or later, so you can just pick from them. But they're just yellow letters, postcards, handwritten yellow letters, that kind of stuff. Listings, this is just going to be a page that is set up, will be created once you have an offer accepted. And what this will allow us to do is, once you have all the information within this listing page, as long as our website is a WordPress website, like an Investor Carrot site, it's not going to work with a GoDaddy site right now, but maybe in the future. But we can just enter our listing details, click a button, and it will automatically post to our website. So that would be a nice feature as well. Marketing, I always had a marketing workspace. This is just kind of stuff that I've got in the works. I've dialed in Craigslist. Well, these are just actually posts. Well, I'll log all the posts that I just have pre-written, what section they're going under, um, frequency, all that kind of stuff. Another cool thing I've set up with Craigslist is I found an email one day that said it was the 47 most profitable keywords on Craigslist. So I set up a search for each keyword and had those results auto forwarded directly into this Podio app. So these are all motivated seller leads from the for sale by owner section on Craigslist, specifically Tulsa. So for this one, obviously, it needs work. So you can look at just one of the results. So this particular house, well, deleted by its author, so could have already been gone. View all the results for that particular keyword. I better get out of there. So view all the results. So this is everything that says needs work. So it's a good way to be able to farm Craigslist without actually having to farm Craigslist, because we all know we've got better things to do. Social media calendar. To be honest with you, I've only used 2 social media sites. Obviously, use Facebook, and then I use, I would suggest a blog. And if you're using an investor carrot site, they've already got pre-written blogs with some great content. If not, there's another site called Blogger that we can use. But by simply posting to those 2 and then maybe YouTube, we can use a service called if this then that, Buffer or Hootsuite. And what that will do is actually automate posts around Tumblr and Flickr and Periscope and YouTube and this, that, and the other, and however many there are. So your one Facebook post, within an hour ends up on 17 different sites, and all you did is make one. Testimonials, obviously, something that are amazing to have. For some reason, I don't ever ask enough, because I know people, I've had people crying at the closing table, and I would love to have those video testimonials when people are telling me that I take advantage of people. I'm pretty sure you guys would too. So, social network branding. We all know how many accounts there have. I didn't copy over my information, but I opened an account with every social media site I could think of. As long as online listings like Yelp and Angie's List and everything you can think of, just got to be everywhere. So that's really the marketing section. Let's see, operation accounts. These are the accounts that I used after a whole lot of trial and error. Rebo Gateway, I know I've talked with Billy about this a whole lot, and you guys are free to use this. I paid for this subscription last year. It was like $600 for the year or something like that. Pull as many lists as you want. You can get as specific as to people going through a divorce, that have a death in the family, have missed a mortgage payment, and just got a flat tire. You can't tell if they just got a flat tire, but everything else you can. It's pretty amazing. You can really drill down on the motivation. You can send a lot less mailers and get a lot more calls. Mail parser, this is just a tool that we use, so when we get these emails from, say, CallRail that are always in the same format, we can parse the data out of there and enter it directly into Podio. Gravity forms, now these are just dolled up web forms, something I did not go over, but I will go over real quick because I know Billy has some interest. But we would set something up kind of like this for your lead info capture sheet on the apartments. We would create an app, say, for leads, and now these would be all the data points that you would want to put in there. And then what you can do is you've got a web form. Now you would just send this link to whoever your bird dogs are, and then they would, in turn, fill out any information that you had requested right in here. Once this is all completed and submitted, it goes directly into this leads app. And like we had talked about briefly, through a couple more automated processes, we can actually email this back to the bird dog and share access to this specific file so he can make updates to it should he run into more information, pictures, whatnot down the road, without having access to everything, because they certainly don't need access to everything. Back to the accounts. Some of these are mandatory, others are a luxury. Some of them are my wish list, but the gravity forms I don't currently use. It's just an aesthetic thing, I guess, but a web form will capture the data just fine and it's free. Zapier, mandatory, $20 a month. Dropbox, Google Drive, I'm sure you guys both use these. If you don't, I would start. Lob, now this one's mandatory. This is the service that allows us to mail out hard copies of the contracts. We can send out mass postcard mailings. You can send out one-off letters just by clicking a button within that Podio file. Tatango, this is SMS text messaging campaigns. Basically you say like text sell my house to 33733, and then it will respond with whatever we tell it to respond with, usually a link to a landing page or something like that. Callfire, this is basically a telemarketing deal that you can set up to follow up with any calls that you missed and people didn't leave a message, anything like that, with people that you haven't talked to in a long time. It'll basically dial 1 to 4 lines, and then that customer file will pop up when somebody answers. So rather than wearing your fingers down to the bone, you just click a button and wait for somebody to answer. Investor Carrot, I would say mandatory. I've tried a lot of websites, services, including GoDaddy and countless others, and Wix and Flix, and God, I don't even know who else, but this is by far the best one. And I know, Billy, the one that you showed me the other day that your partner had, not the country club one, but the other one you showed me, it was actually an Investor Carrot site as well. SEO, while becoming a bit more obsolete due to the way Google has restructured the way their page looks, these still do drive a whole lot of organic traffic when it comes specifically, I guess, to investors. I got 83 new investor leads within the first 60 days of doing that site, and to be honest, I didn't even really edit anything. So imagine what would happen if I actually tried to get it to produce. So I was super impressed with these. You can pay, I think it's $90 for 3 sites. I think it's $129 for 5 sites. Zapier, again, mandatory, $20 a month. MailChimp, mandatory, $20 a month. CallRail, mandatory, $20 a month. And then you've got Podio and Globiflow. Podio is free for up to 5 users. We're not going to be using more than that. And then Globiflow will do all the automation for us. And that one is $49 a month. Bird dogs, we just spoke about that one. I haven't completely set that up because I need the information from Billy for what we need to collect. And that is pretty much it, I think. I'm sure there's some questions. I'm sure I left a handful of holes. But I think you get the gist of it. Anyways, and here's what an offer looks like. So once you do click that offer button, you got a cover letter, offers worth 30 days, give you the rundown, and then this is just a form contract that I've used in the past. $1,000. I don't know who put that in there. That's too many zeros. Anyways, I'm sure you get the gist. Any of your special instructions, those kind of show up right here. And then as far as signatures are concerned, we can integrate this with WriteSign. I've also used Adobe Fill-In Sign, or I have also used HelloSign. But the bottom line is, they're just going to print it out, sign it, and scan it, and fax it back to you, so it's really not even worth trying to explain to people in my experience. Again, I've got one of these for option contracts. I know Billy said he had an offer letter. So whatever we need to do on those fronts, we can. And then Clint, I'm sure you'll see a series of emails over the next couple of days. They are all branded as property doctors because at one point that was my clever little name for our company. But take a look at them. Let me know what you want them to look like for us specifically, and I can go ahead and change those. Anyways, that's my 5-minute video turned into 30, but we'll chat later.